Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Bad Idea Bros. So today I'm very excited to announce that we have a new bike in the fleet again, so second one this year. You saw Chris's MT-07 early in the year. This time it was my turn to get something, and I've gone for the Honda CRF L250 Rally. So said goodbye to the BMW to make space for this new bike, and yeah, really happy so far. I haven't done a lot of work with it yet. Today it will just be a little bit of a ride to get the hang of it. It's obviously a lot taller than I'm used to. The only thing I've ever taken off-road is the keyway, so it'll be interesting to see how this stacks. It should be a lot more bike. But really excited to take you along for the ride today, guys, so thank you for joining me, and let's get into it. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Bad Idea Bros. You would have seen from that opener that this is not my usual episode format. Well guys, I've owned the Rally behind me for 5 years now, so I thought it might be fun to integrate my first impressions video and do the same ride again today. Obviously a lot's changed with the bike. There's been a hell of a lot of kilometres covered. We've broken some stuff, we've repaired some stuff, and we've changed some stuff. So I thought it might be fun to do a bit of a comparison. So, that being said, let's get on this bike and get into it. Okay guys, so same bike and same location as 5 years ago, but obviously a lot's changed. I want to point out the obvious that 5 years ago my camera and sound equipment was nowhere near as good as what I'm using today, so you'll have to excuse the old footage, but it's a bit of nostalgia for me, and this is an episode that's been a long time in the making. So yeah, excited to do this one. Let's do the start up and get onto the ride. Alright guys, so let's take the new one for a run. I've done a little bit with this, but not a lot yet, so still very much getting used to the bike. Not too bad conditions today. A little bit windy, so hopefully you guys can hear me over the wind. Just going to be doing a bit of a tarmac run today. I don't think I'm going to take it off-road just yet. Not because I've got any concerns, but just because I haven't ridden the bike and I'm more comfortable on the road, I suppose. We've started at the beach today and we're going to do a little climb up over the hills. Basically just return from the hills back down to the beach and do a nice little circuit. So thank you as always for coming along with the ride with us today. I'm really excited to show off the new CRF. Let's get into it. Okay, so as we said, the bike currently has nearly 31,200 kilometres on the thing. Now, you guys have, if you've been watching the channel for any period of time, you'll know that I have done a lot of trips with this bike. It has taken me absolutely everywhere, so no complaints there. Now, obviously, that first impressions ride, I didn't really know what to expect. It was very new to me, so now this bike is pretty much what I base the rides from all other bikes on. So yeah, let's call this one my benchmark, as it were. So that being said, this is obviously the bike that I now compare all others to, and it's funny to watch back the old footage and see how I was positioned on the bike and how I was feeling when the thing was brand new to me. So already in the short time I've been on this bike, it's definitely a lot taller than what I'm used to, but that's not surprising at all. The keyway is low, the BMW is low, and this thing's got a heck of a lot of suspension travel, so that's to be expected. In saying that, the centre of gravity doesn't feel super huge, or super high I should say. It's still feels really low, still flicks very nicely, still feels very controllable, so Honda have done a really great job of keeping that low on a higher bike. Now, it is just a 250 in regards to capacity, 300cc does come out this year, but to be honest, I wasn't willing to wait the time it was going to take to get that in. The numbers on paper didn't really worry me enough to wait for the 300, so I decided to just pull the trigger on the 250. And so far, no regrets at all. It's been a really good bike to ride. So, as you can probably tell from my narration back in 2020, I was quite nervous about this bike and I didn't really know what to expect. That's probably a standard sort of feeling given that it was a brand new bike, but now, yeah, this thing's like an additional limb. I'm so used to it. I had no idea back then where to position the gears. I had no idea where to rev it to. I really was still very much learning the bike. But after the 5 years of ownership and the 30-odd thousand kilometres riding this thing through all sorts of terrain, we've been over mountains, we've been through valleys, through rivers. I've had it in snow, mud, you name it, we've ridden it. And the bike has genuinely never let me down. The only parts I've ever had to replace were consumables, so you know, brake pads, your oil filter, that sort of thing. I've gone through more air filters than I care to think about, but other than that, it's replacing parts that I wanted to improve or parts that I've damaged. So things like handlebars and mirrors, and obviously the plastics on the left when I had quite a considerable drop on what was that? That was on old Le Bons. That led me to putting crash bars on the bike, which was something I originally wanted to do anyway. But yeah, honestly guys, for reliability this thing has been phenomenal. I don't want to tempt fate by harping on about it too much, but I honestly wouldn't hesitate to gear this thing up now, give it a service, and then go and try and ride to the Arctic Circle or something silly like that. I genuinely think it's got that in it, and yeah, I know the bike well enough to sort of differentiate when it's making some noises it shouldn't, and I've got a pretty good understanding of how to work on this thing now. So leaps and bounds, shall we say, from the joy that was riding this bike back in 2020. So as we're climbing the hill here through some of the corners, I can honestly say that it feels really good coming in and out of corners. It just lays over really nicely. The bike likes to rev though. It's interesting. I suppose I'm used to the more torquier sort of things. Honda have built this to rev and it loves it. So the red line is at 10,500 RPM, which is not something I'm used to while riding. I've usually got a lower RPM range. The BMW was a lot torquier but a lot more low down, so it's probably not very fair to compare this bike to that one, but yeah, so far so good. Really enjoying this. Definitely pulls nicely, really nicely. Had to pull over. Wow, I just had to pull over here guys and admire this view. That is that's pretty spectacular. This is not a road I've really done before, so this is new to me, and I'm really glad because I haven't seen this view before, not from here anyway. 5 years later and that is still one cracking view guys. It looks like we've got a considerably better day than the 2020 filming as well, so definitely a win. That's one of the things I absolutely adore about living in Christchurch, is that I've been riding for 5 or 10 minutes and you get views like that, just wow. So guys, I obviously mentioned about doing a lot of changes to this bike, and it's mostly been stuff I've either broken or just the basic maintenance things. But a few things that have changed have been like handlebars and mirrors and all that sort of stuff. They're pretty much much of a muchness, but I found what works for me and that's what I've stuck with. I've gone through more tyres than I can imagine, and I've honestly found that for this bike the Motos are what I prefer. So I've pretty much been running the same flavour of tyres on these things for a long time now. The biggest upgrade, the biggest single upgrade I've done to this bike by far is the suspension. Now, for a very long time I ran the standard Honda suspension on this, and that was about 30,000 kilometres. And I've got to be honest, I never really noticed anything wrong with it. I thought it did quite well. That wasn't until I actually made the effort to get the upgraded suspension from the guys at Moto SR, and wow, what a game changer. It's a whole new bike, it really is. There's just a lot more traction than we had. The bike is considerably better planted than it used to be. It's gotten rid of all of that arse end sag the bike used to have. The Hondas are pretty notorious for that actually. Again, it never used to bother me, but I guess when you ride something for so long, you get used to it, you get the feeling of how it's going to behave, and you just kind of accept it. So it did take me a while to get the suspension done, but yeah, worth every penny and something I can definitely recommend that you should be doing. Probably one of the first upgrades actually that I would recommend. So yeah, guys, it's really lovely to be able to ride these same roads on this same bike. The weather today is phenomenal. It is absolutely perfect riding weather. Sun's out, it's nice and warm, we've got a cool wind, and yeah, the roads seem to be somewhat vacant, so now that I've said that out loud, traffic will definitely hinder me. And yeah, we are heading towards some of my favourite bits of twisty tarmac, so yeah, good day for it. Definitely a good day for it. So guys, when I was first looking for a bike to get into adventure riding with, I'd obviously only experienced the Kiwi, and to be fair, that was probably a good thing, because having ridden something a bit more capable off-road since, man, those Kiwis were hard work. But I looked at a lot of stuff. I think I probably mentioned that in the 2020 episode. I very nearly went to a 411 Himalayan, but it didn't quite feel right, and it felt a little low. There wasn't enough road clearance, if I remember correctly. Sorry, ground clearance. I accidentally bought the perfect bike. This rally is more dirt bike than road bike, and it was so forgiving in learning to ride, learning to adventure ride. And yeah, of course we had some incidents, of course I broke some stuff, but that was going to happen on any bike. It didn't matter which one I picked. But yeah, these bikes are both amazing learner bikes and very much overrated, very much underrated for what they are. Highly recommend them. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering why I chose the CRF 250 Rally. There's plenty of other bikes out there that are in the same sort of class that I could have gone with, and in fact I did actually test ride quite a few of them. So I spent some time in the seat of the 390 Adventure KTM. Really lovely bike, but just not for me. The Royal Enfield Himalayan is another one that's super popular, and quite honestly that was a very close second to the Honda. I really enjoyed that bike. I enjoyed the way it rode, but it didn't have as much ground clearance as I was hoping for, so that was pretty much the only reason I didn't really go for the Himalayan. Rode the Kawasaki Versi, again a really nice bike, but it felt too street oriented. So having ridden all those bikes, this CRF came up, and I really liked the look of the rallies, and that was the first thing that drew me into going and having a test ride. And honestly, as soon as I got on the bike and started doing some corners and stuff with it, it felt right, which is really difficult to quantify and explain, but for you guys out there that do ride, you'll know what I mean. You can ride 20 different bikes, but you'll get on one out of that 20 and it'll just be the right bike, and you will know that as soon as you ride it. So that was pretty much what sold me on this thing. The riding position is super comfortable. The height, or the sort of clearance, sorry, is what I was after. Yeah, it's got a little less horsepower than some of the other models, but to be fair, that doesn't really bother me. I'm used to riding the Keyway, so this is 100cc more than that. So right off the bat, it's already got more go. And I personally prefer a bike that is light, flickable, and just manageable off-road, as opposed to something that weighs a ton that has more horsepower. So that just suits my riding style. Plenty of you out there that'll disagree, but at the end of the day, everybody likes what they like. So that's the reason there's so many different bike models out there for the adventure class. So you guys will be seeing quite a bit of this on the channel coming up. I plan to do some rides with some guys on this one, so that should be good fun. But we are just coming up on the Littleton Tunnel, which means I need to put my visor down and stop narrating. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now we're out of that tunnel, back into some clean air. The other thing that you guys might be wondering is, will I be modifying this bike like I did the Keyway? Well, the short answer is yes. I can't leave well enough alone with any of my vehicles. I always seem to be doing something with them, but it won't be to the extent of the Keyway. I want to put some protection and some armour on this thing, because I do plan to take it off-road and give it, you know, the same sort of abuse that the Keyway saw. And other than that, it's pretty much good how it is. The rear suspension is a bit soft, and that might become an issue in the future if I start loading up some gear and that sort of thing, but at present it's actually not too bad. I haven't had it off-road yet, so that'll be the real test, but I do have a ride coming up that you guys will see on the channel shortly. to be honest, very shortly it'll probably be the next episode after this one, and that will be quite a long all-day off-road ride, so really looking forward to that as well. But yeah guys, this is the new bike, and I'm very pleased so far and very excited to do some riding with it and get some scratches on this very shiny paintwork. Well guys, that has us out of the hills, and we're just about back at the beach, so I thank you very much for joining me on today's little test ride. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope my prattling on about what the CRF is and what I hope I can do with it hasn't been too boring. But yeah, look, genuinely thank you for coming along on this one. If you have any questions or would like to know any more about the bike, just make a comment below. I'll make sure to come back to you. And yeah, this intersection is us back at the beach, so that's that. But yeah, really thank you guys, and hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. And guys, I believe that's about where I signed that 2020 episode off. So yeah, 5 years ago, time flies. I know that back then I was full of anticipation and expectation of what I would be able to learn and do with this bike. And I gotta be honest, it's done everything. So 5 years of ownership. Am I sick of the bike? No, not at all. Does it ever feel underpowered? Yes, sometimes, especially on the highways and motorways. It'll do the 100/110 kilometers an hour, no problems whatsoever. But if you're found yourself behind a truck or another car that's moving a bit slower than you want them to be, and you want to go for that pass, not quite enough juice in the old engine to get out of it. So it'll do the job, absolutely. A bit more now would be nice. I sort of find the same thing on the trails, is that I'm riding this bike wide open a lot of the time. That's fine, until stuff starts going south and you need a little bit more and there's no more to give. So would I recommend this bike to others? Yeah, definitely. 250 rally, 300 rally, 250L, 300L, fantastic bikes. Are they a learner bike? Yep, definitely. The L's probably more so. The rallies have got a lot more breakables on them, and I could be mistaken, but I think the rallies is a little taller. Seat height definitely feels taller than the L, so might be something to take into consideration. But yeah, I remember 2020 me, super excited about this bike, and yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but now 30,000 kilometers later, and God, all these riding experiences I've had with this thing, I'm so thankful that this was the bike I chose, because it opened up so many places to ride that I never really would have been able to on some of the more street-oriented bikes. That being said, I've had some of these other bikes in this class, like the Versailles. I used that in Tasmania. Mucked around with the 390 KTM for a little while, and I've always had a soft spot for the Himalayan. But guys, this episode is absolutely something different to what I normally would do, and I'm really hoping that my editing is up to par to make it worthwhile watching, because trying to stitch together an episode I did 5 years ago and one that I'm doing today, it's going to be a bit of an interesting task, but I thought it'd be interesting and a bit of fun to do, so I want to give it a go. And if you're watching it, obviously I was successful. So guys, that has us right back to where we started the episode and where we first opened it back in 2020. Not really much else left to say, other than I always appreciate you guys following along, and if you did enjoy this weird little adventure that I've decided to do today, then please do hit subscribe. Makes a huge difference and it helps the channel out a lot. We're still pushing towards that 5,000 subscriber count, so yeah, keep up the good work guys, and happy to have you on board. But that is going to do it for this one, so yeah, as always, thank you for following along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.